Hi guys, in today's video I'll be sharing with you 5 simple yet highly effective mindfulness tips that will deeply enhance the quality of your life. If you're going through any kind of emotional distress, anxiety or restlessness, I want to assure you that these 5 simple choices can change the way you live your life. It will open a space in your heart which feels peaceful irrespective of the external events. And I know that mindfulness has deeply enriched my life. I had discovered this through Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese monk, and now it seems that my own tryst towards mindfulness has deepened much more. So now I perceive it in a much different way than how I started with it. In my current understanding of mindfulness, mindfulness is the capacity of being in this very moment. To be able to hold this very moment the way it is, as it is, without the psychological story of the past or the psychological projection of the future. So it's a capacity to just look at the world in this moment right now. And in some ways then it becomes a way to live life moment by moment. And if you are present in this very moment, your future is secure. A lot of people might think that mindfulness would be impractical because how can we live our life without planning for the future? The reality is that you can be aware in this moment and still plan for the future, but you can't live in the future. And a lot of time the distress, the anxiety, the uncertainty that we experience is because we are going far too much into the future and neglecting this very moment. And that creates this imbalance in our lives. So remember, as children, our lives were filled with sensory delight. We were able to experience deep awe in the way in which life presented itself, moment by moment, through colors, through fragrance, through texture, touch, on the auditory level. It's coming back to our senses in that sense. If you are new to the concept of mindfulness, I would highly recommend you to check my book, my ebook called Mindfulness for Beginners in Plain English. It's a short ebook. It's available on Amazon. It's a derivation of all the mindfulness retreats that I have done. So it's basically the manual that I used to distribute to the participants. And we know that mindfulness has proven itself to be beneficial for our happiness and health. Breathe. Notice your breath. Just being able to observe your breath every now and then can change the quality of your life. Patanjali's Yoga Sutra talk about the importance of pranayama, the art, the skill of breathing. A healthy human being breathes around 8 to 10 times in a minute. And when we are in a state of stress or anxiety, we tend to breathe really fast. And fast, interrupted breaths are symptoms of anxiety and restlessness. So notice how you're breathing right now. Just notice how deep does your breath go. Just take a nice deep breath with me. And in your day, as you go along, experiencing life around you, just notice your breath. And every time you practice breath awareness, you will realize that just this very simple practice will help you switch from your mind to your body. Because a lot of our life happens up here, and we know that psychological reality is a fictional reality. It is filled with forms, concepts and stories that we tell ourselves. So breathing in some ways becomes that little anchor to help us see beyond our mind, to come back, to make that switch to our body and look around and experience life in a more real way in that sense. The second mindfulness tip is honor whatever is. You know, I have experienced this, I'm sure you have experienced this, that there are times when a certain unpleasant event happens in our life and we ask, why did this happen to me? And I know that how natural it feels to question things that do not appear pleasant. But when we decide to accept whatever is, so we suddenly shift from resistance to allowing. And the moment we allow, there is a strange sense of shift in our relationship with life. So if there is an unpleasant event or an event that I feel is unpleasant, to be able to observe it and to be able to say that, all right, this is how it is. And once you are in acceptance, in harmony to whatever is, then you can do something about it. So surrender does not mean submission. Surrender means to be able to understand and accept the event as it is without going and fighting and resisting whatever is. And the moment you start from a place of acceptance, you would feel a certain sense of vulnerability, yes, but also a new space of energy would open up. It takes immense courage to accept what is. And so I invite you that if you're going through something that's challenging, just for a moment, give yourself the permission to let it be, to see it as it is, and to say to yourself that, I do not understand this, but this is what is. And I must take care of myself. I must do what I must do. I want to share this with you that this has happened with me a lot of times when I have experienced immense disappointments in life and I don't know what to do and I have worked so much to get a certain desired outcome. Then I would often ask myself a reverse question. So rather than asking myself, why did this happen to me? I would say, what if this particular moment was serving me in a way that I do not see right now? Because I know that when we are in a particular moment, each time we experience a particular moment, there is a certain myopia in our perspective. We cannot see the sides and dimensions in its entirety. And sometimes life unfolds itself very slowly and you can understand something only retrospectively. So it is a good idea to change your point of orientation by accepting that there is a higher wisdom, there's a higher cosmic dynamism that's working in the way we are experiencing life in this moment. So breathing and accepting, honoring whatever is. The third mindfulness tip that can deeply change your life is declutter your spaces. And by spaces, I mean both the physical spaces and psychological spaces. Wherever you spend most number of your hours, just look around and ask yourself, how does this physical space make me feel? Is there any need to declutter? Is there any need to reorganize? Is there any need to change the way you use your space? Are there things that you don't use anymore? Are there objects that are constantly a source of emotional distress to you? Are there objects that remind you of difficult memories? Then why are they there? So just look around and open your eyes and really experience your space with the eyes of a newborn baby and reorganize your space. Gift away things that you don't use anymore. The moment you do this, you would experience immense flow of energy. And Feng Shui, Vastu Shastra are all about this retaining this fountain of energy in your physical space. And of course, that affects the way we feel immensely. So after you have decluttered your physical space, we come to a little more difficult step. Declutter your psychological space. An average human being thinks around 65,000 thoughts per day, and 90% of these thoughts are repetitive. So if your mind is going on and on in that cyclical way wherein thoughts keep flowing in, here is an invitation for you to declutter your thoughts. And how does one calm and stop thinking? How does one decrease this thought frequency? First, breath awareness. Take a nice deep breath right now. And once you have practiced breath awareness, and then take up a pen, open a diary and try free writing. Just allow yourself to write whatever thought arises in your mind. Within 10 minutes or so, you would have in some ways poured all your thoughts onto the piece of paper, and you would experience a certain sense of clarity, a certain sense of space, just the way you would experience this sense of space when you would have decluttered your home or your workspace. Similarly, on a psychological level, you would feel this immense ease and peace that would come into you. And another technique that can help in psychologically decluttering your mind is to do a lot of physical activity. So running or physical exercise can help you shift from your mind to your body. However, I must share this with you that we must never use our body to distract from our mind. Mindfulness is not about running away from mind. It's not about suppressing your thoughts. It's about observing your thoughts without resisting them. Because the moment we start suppressing or resisting, paradoxically, those thoughts persist. So whatever we resist, it persists. And I know all of us have fallen into the tendency of emotional eating. You know, when you're eating something and it's really delicious and you have this disturbing thought, it's so easy to keep on munching onto something that gives you that high. And so in some ways then senses can become a very false escape from the mind. So I'm not talking about running away from the mind. I'm talking about looking at it without reacting. So when you're journaling or writing your thoughts, you are just observing, you're witnessing your mind. You're not fighting it, you're not suppressing it. Take a nice deep breath. It's amazing how empowering even a single breath can be. So every now and then, take care of yourself by giving yourself a good number of helpings of nice, deep, slow breaths. Number 4 mindfulness tip is to eat more of fruits. Now just imagine yourself sitting on your table with this plate full of different colored fruits. Now engage with your fruits through the senses. How they smell, how is their touch, how is their taste. Experience and engage with your food in a manner that's uninterrupted by devices. When you eat slowly and with presence, that is called mindful eating. Loads of books have been written about it. But the crux of it all is that when you pay attention to your eating, then you would enjoy your food more, you would absolutely relish it. It would be like meditation. And very importantly, you would see a shift in the quantity and quality of your food choices. So it's amazing when you just take out half an hour every day to just simply sit with your food, with your fruits, and just connect with them and eat them slowly. You'll be surprised. The number one mistake all of us make in terms of eating is that we do not chew our food enough number of times. We often eat our food in a restless frenzy of meeting our appetite, and we often forget how hungry we are, what is the time, and in doing all of that, we in some ways abuse our digestive system. So, but when you're doing mindful eating, you would see that your metabolism would be much better because you're eating slowly and you're deeply engaging with your food. So not just with fruits, you can do mindful eating with any meal that you take on a regular basis. The 5th tip that I want to share with you is take regular breaks from your mind. You know, we are on this treadmill where our default mode is thinking. And I know from experience of staying with Buddhist monks and nuns, that they have very interesting rituals. So every day and night they have certain reminders in the form of bells or prayer bowl, the Buddhist prayer bowl, that would be their auditory reminder to come back to this very moment. So as soon as there is this bell, everybody would just pause and take a nice aware breath and just look around and give themselves the opportunity to shift from the mind to the body and experience reality in a way that is more than psychological story of reality. So in this very moment, as you are here with me, just notice the tingling sensations in your fingers. Notice how does your feet feel right now. Notice the white noise around your ears. Notice the colors around you. Observe what you see. And just be aware. And these kind of shifts from mind to awareness of senses and the reality can deeply energize your mind, because it helps you to visit the space of no mind. Eckhart Tolle talks about how some of the most beautiful things in life, like joy, beauty, peace, creativity, stillness, come from the space between two thoughts. So interestingly, the space between two thoughts, the space that is the space of no mind, in some ways helps us to function better in terms of our mind. And so you can create rituals and reminders around your day based on time. So maybe you can fix certain alarms in your phone at an interval of say 3 hours, and every time there is that alarm, there is that beep, it's a reminder for you to pause, to take a break and to look around and to look beyond the mind. So rather than living all your life from here, try and live it in a more wholesome manner. And the moment we used to do this as children almost instinctively, it was our unconscious competence. We used to live instinctively in a way that was much more balanced. But as we grew into adulthood, we in some ways monopolized our mind. So now we live reality mostly through our minds. So that is why a lot of imbalance in our life happens. A lot of choices that we take become really short-sighted because we are not putting our whole into it, not feeling it. I invite you to observe your body, because if you start following its ease, if you start observing your body, you will see that body has a way to communicate with you. So it would give you these little hints about what it likes and what it dislikes. That would be in the form of ease and unease. There would be certain people, events, activities that would evoke a certain sense of unease in you. And once you start paying attention, you'll realize that, wow, my body is really communicating. And if you start paying heed and acting on that information that your body has given you, you would see the quality of your life change dramatically. We know that when we ignore unease for an extended period of time, it becomes dis-ease. So take a break from your mind every now and then, come back to your body, come back to your breath, and experience life in a more wholesome manner. Practicing 10 minutes of silence deeply helps me into taking that everyday break. Almost every time before a big event, I just sit down or lie down and practice 10 minutes of deep conscious breaths and silence. You can also watch my video on meditation for beginners. I would post the link below. That would also facilitate a space of silence and stillness. So the key words of this video was breathing, acceptance, allowing life to flow, allowing space to have energy, colorful fruits, noticing your body, noticing your breath, and remembering that you're not your thoughts, you're not your feelings. That's only a composition inside of your mind. It's not who you are. You're much beyond all of these constructs, because feelings are temporary, they go away. So you are not your feelings. Silence, and one of the ways you can give yourself that break that we were speaking about is by having some nice herbal tea and just preparing it with awareness. Eckhart Tolle also talks about how important it is to do ordinary actions with awareness, like washing your hands and just noticing the fragrance of the soap, the color of the soap, and the sparkling water, the shimmering water, and just being aware in awareness and holding that space, and how deeply that can nourish you. So I hope that you would remember to follow these tips in your everyday life. Please like, share and comment on this video. Do not forget to subscribe to my channel, and I will keep sharing ideas worth sharing. Take care.